Let me get a hell yeah!
Philadelphia, that is right. We, the Philadelphia Eagles, are Super Bowl 59 champions. We've done it. We are here. We are the kings of the NFL. The show brought to you by Baggio's Bread, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pies, sandwiches, cutlets, and meatballs. Make sure you mention A2D Radio for 10% off your in-store purchase. We are live on Eagles Talk A2D Radio. We're kicking off Super Bowl celebration week here. It's your boy Chucks, it's Brinks, it's PY, and the head honcho himself, Mr. Tom Arnone. Tommy, good of you to join us. I'm so happy that you're on with us. What's going on? Oh, you can't hear you. Muted.
I didn't think we were personally bringing me in. Yeah, Super Bowl champs. That's what's going on.
Of course. And then,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, and then obviously we have, as we do almost every week, Mr. Les Bowen with Bowen on the Birds. Les, back from New Orleans. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks.
Awesome. I can't imagine that all of us are down in the dumps because we are Super Bowl champs. The Eagles did it. So it is. I can't imagine what everyone else feels in terms of what this means to them. So I wanted to start our poll question. Start the show, our poll question this way, so we can get kind of in a deeper conversation and connect with the people. And if you're listening, you're watching, definitely chime into the chat. Let us know what this means to you. But the Eagles' Super Bowl 59 victory means more to you than the Super Bowl 52 victory. Agree or disagree? There is no right or wrong answer. Like I said, I wanted to get an in-depth thought of how everyone feels and where they're at with this, what this means to them. So, Tommy, let's start with you. I'll go to Les and then PY, then Brinks.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean more, but it doesn't mean less, right? So they all mean the same. I mean, the first one's the first one, right? It's like the first girlfriend you ever had. Sure, it might mean more to you for a little bit, but it won't mean more to you forever, right? Because there's going to be other opportunities. And here was another opportunity. I think it may mean more because I truly believe this is the start of a dynasty. This isn't the start of just one, and they're happy to be there, and that's all they're looking for is one. I think we've seen it, right? There's something built here. So I'm going to agree that it means more to me than the other one, because this one really showed the world that this is the best team in football, right? In 2017, I can't say that even though we won it all and we beat the greatest of all time, I can't say that was the best overall team in football, though. They did it that day. But this one was dominant. And this meant more on a national stage for Eagles fans for once in our life to say, hey, we're the best team in football. It's not even close. Who would you want to bring up in here from the AFC? Because we beat them all. So, I mean, the only team we didn't beat is Buffalo, and their interior is like a bunch of 230-pound guys. So that's not going to be fun for Buffalo. So who else? So this is why it means more, because we dominated. And when are we, like you guys brought up before the show, we had backup quarterback in a Super Bowl, taking snaps in a Super Bowl. Think about that. And on the good reasons. Good reasons. This isn't Philly. This isn't what we're used to, right? But we knew it for 2 weeks. And for the first time in 2 weeks, we talked about how do they hang with us besides Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and how great they are. And this is why it means more. This is why it means more, because we were actually right, and we're not always right. And two, we're that good and we're that young. Where it's like this isn't over. This shouldn't be a one and done. This should be something that I'm not saying they're going to go win another one next year, right? But they should get another one in the next 2 to 3 because they're built for that. They truly are. So it means more in that type of way. Your first one's your first one, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Les, what do you think?
Boy, Tom makes some really good points. My perspective is the first one was speaking kind of, I think, generationally. I think the people who suffered through the Eagles of the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s, and then all the Andy Reid stuff. I think the first one will always mean more to them. It was such a load off everyone's back, to win that. For me personally, I was there in Minnesota for that game, and that I got the confetti to take home and give to people and all that stuff. And I didn't get to do that this time. Although I was there last week, I was not there for the game. For me personally, the first one means more. But I understand exactly what Tom's thinking and saying. And for you guys who are younger, I think this is probably a more profound moment because, like Tom said, this is a situation moving forward that the Eagles have never been in. They have a 26-year-old quarterback who has won the Super Bowl. Not that they're expecting to win the Super Bowl or it looks like he might be good enough to win the Super Bowl, but has won the Super Bowl and a young nucleus around him. And they have a lot of things, they have to surmount. But yeah, they should definitely. I had a conversation with some people about this last night. Again, like Tom, I'm not saying next year because next year, the year after the Super Bowl, often there are a lot of pitfalls, but they'll get back here. I mean, I just can't imagine they won't. And what a statement that is to think of from an Eagles fan perspective from years ago. Yeah, to me, it means more. The first one means a little more, but this one could have a more profound effect going forward. He certainly could be right about that.
Yeah. PY.
I think it means a little bit more. Like obviously, like the first one is great. You finally were able to win your first Super Bowl, but this is different because like this sets you up. Like this, winning your second Super Bowl makes you a more serious franchise. Like you're not the team that just won the one Super Bowl and you're just happy with that. You're still chasing. Like this is your third Super Bowl appearance in a decade. Like it's just your second Super Bowl appearance in 3 years. You just beat Patrick Mahomes. Your team has an average age of 26? Your quarterback is 26. You have all these young stars on the rise. You have a lot of cap space. You're going to be able to make some more moves with the draft. Like there is a lot of hope when it comes to winning this Super Bowl because the more could be on the horizon. Obviously, there's no guarantee of whether or not you're going to win next year. And repeating would be amazing. You know what I mean? But there is that opportunity. But also, like, it's just something special to where you're winning with the guy you're in the foxhole with. You're winning because of your franchise quarterback. You're not winning because, you got hot at the right time with your backup quarterback and black magic or any of that bullcrap. Please, for the love of God, can we tear that statue down? Now that we're done and over with the backup mania, we got a franchise guy who can lead us. Like that's just what makes it different. Like we're heading into uncharted territory. We're never this team. We're the scrappy underdog. We're not the bully. We're not the ass kicker. We're not the people in charge. We're not the popular kid at the table with the prom queen. We're Lucas. That's what we've been our entire career as a football team. We're the scrappy nerd, gets some licks in every once in a while, but does not go to the big dance. We're the big dog right now.
Yeah, I hear you. Brinks.
I like this one way more. Way more. Just look at how it happened. I mean, like, you didn't just beat the Chiefs and deny them of a three-peat. You absolutely you took their soul from their body, and you did it very early in the football game, and they just rolled over when they realized that the Eagles weren't just going to play along and let Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce and Mahomes and Nick Wright and Colin Cowherd celebrate that they had it right, and this Mahomes guy is better than Tom Brady, which we can put that on hold for a couple of years now. I don't want to hear that. Tom Brady would absolutely never have played like that in a big spot. He didn't play like that in a big spot, even when he lost. to the Giants and the Eagles. But it was a little rocky at first. You got the opening drive, they get that 4th down to AJ, and you get the soft ass offensive PI. And then I think they were up 7-0, if I'm not mistaken, and Jalen underthrew that ball on the pick. It's like, okay, like, yeah, like we're better, we're doing good, but this is what the Chiefs have been doing all year. And then the floodgates open, and then Cooper got his pick, and then Zach Bond just jumps out of nowhere and gets a pick. And they just – Mahomes, I mean, he looked lost. Spagnuolo looked lost. Andy Reid looked lost. I mean, I just named 3 of the top guys at their profession in the past 20 years in this league. And we made him look like JV. So, yeah, Nick Foles did his thing. And
that's what great players do. Because that's what great players do.
Exactly.
Sorry,
and like
that's what great
2017, that was kind of like I don't want to – because they had good players. Don't get me wrong. But, like, you had LeGarrette Blount come in, and he was like a 1-year guy and played a big role. You had Patrick Robinson come in, who was like a 1-year prove-it guy. I had no idea. You had a lot of uncertainty at the quarterback position. Like, I had no confidence after they won that game that they were, like, going to, like, build something special on, like, the national scale, where the fact that, like, in 2 or 3 years, like, we're talking about going for the 3-peat. I feel like that right now. Now, there's things that are going to be talked about this offseason with personnel and coaching, but we're not talking about that tonight. But, I mean, the Eagles were crowned. They took the mind, body, and soul of the Kansas City Chiefs, and it was absolutely fantastic. So I guess that means I agree to the poll. 59 over 52.
Yeah. Great insight, guys. Y'all had really, really good stuff to say about it. And like I said, there's no real wrong answer. It's about how you feel about, both victories. I'm going to get to some of the chat before I answer it, because we got awesome people chiming in already. So keep it coming, guys. But Andrew Baker says in 2020, when Jalen was drafted, we all were confused and honestly angry at the pick. We all owe this man an apology. Yeah, absolutely. And our
apology has been coming for 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hate the apology now. You don't have to apologize. You have to say what we've said for weeks and years. The guy wins.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, outside of a few people that show up in the chat every
Nick
once in a
deserves
while,
a bigger apology.
That just absolutely hate this guy for whatever reason, and they're out there. They know who they are.
Ryan Pumper's gonna show up.
Yeah, like those guys.
Yeah, where's the pump at? Where's pump at?
No one on this panel was that dressed.
Gonna be a short pump tonight.
Yeah, it was more about the contract situation with Wentz that we just gave him. That's why we were like, why are you taking quarterback here? But no need to rehash that. But yeah, he gets all the.
Can we agree that like the top tier of quarterbacks is now a group of 5 instead of a group of 4?
I personally would put him at 5. Yeah. I'd say
he's a top 5 quarterback. Like,
so now you have Allen, Lamar, Mahomes, Burrow, and Jalen.
To me, one of the most profound things about what happened yesterday is there's all these advanced metrics where Jalen doesn't rank with these other guys, and you can get obsessed with that. And before yesterday, you could say, well, can they win a Super Bowl with a guy who isn't – I don't even know all the initials of these, not DVOA, but, all the different things that he doesn't measure up in. But the answer is yes, you can win with this guy, and he doesn't have to be, have Joe Burrow's stats. You can win just fine with this version of this guy. He doesn't have to improve dramatically for you to win. And that's a place that they needed to get to. If people that picked Kansas City picked him because they thought Mahomes was way better than Hurts. And that turned out not to be the case yesterday.
Yep. Yeah.
It's really all the ammo they had. Like all these guys on Countdown and NFL Network, all the guys that were picking Kansas City, they had no X and O logic behind it.
Right.
They just threw their hands up and said, I'm not picking against Patrick Mahomes.
And then they all switched it, right? Because they all came to the realization that this team was just that much better. And it's okay to admit it. It's okay. You're not disrespecting Pat by saying, hey, this group is just different and they're built up front.
Yeah.
And the fact that, think about it. This football team didn't blitz yesterday.
Right.
Yep.
I mean,
Not once.
The interior, we know about the offensive line and how dominant they are just up front and their size. But the defensive line, imagine not blitzing. That's how good they are at every level, too. I mean, Cooper DeJean, the second Cooper DeJean got entered in after week 5, after the bye? After the bye, we lost 1 game.
Right.
And had the best defense in the National Football League because of the addition of him around everything else. He was that good in the slot where nobody in football is. He's literally a linebacker. He can tackle like a linebacker and he runs like a corner. And in space, that's a problem because now you don't get those. How many missed tackles? I like Avante. How many missed tackles in open space through the years? Yeah. Patrick Robinson. Like, it's hard to play slot in this league. When you find an elite guy there and it can change it. Wow, we can do this all night. Give her flowers, but that's another flower for Howie. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
But we were talking about what the prognosticators thought. And when I was in New Orleans, I was asked about this a lot. And I said something like, all these guys say, well, you got Mahomes and Reed against Sirianni and Hurts. And then I said, but they're the same people that will tell you over and over again that games are won up front. So which is, and we saw which it is yesterday. We saw what really matters in football. And if there's a huge disparity, it doesn't matter. People talk about how poorly Mahomes played, and I guess he did, but he had no opportunity to play any other way. What was he going to do?
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
How was he going to fix that? There wasn't a fix. Yep.
And it's not like Reed's game plan and offensive play calling helped Mahomes out either. They stuck to what they thought they could do, and it was when it wasn't working, they didn't know they
moved the pocket once after they were way down the first series of the second half.
Yeah,
they probably could have gone to that more, but when your offensive line is getting beat to death, you're just not going to win. I mean,
you're not. Yeah, not with the way
they also wanted no parts of running the football. Typical Andy.
Nope.
Right, like typical Andy came out and said, "We're just not even going to try running." Where if there really is like I don't want to use the word weakness because we don't have one, but in any team in football, you can impose your will at times and run the ball. And I'm shocked that they didn't really make the attempt to really run the football at all. I mean, at least from my eyes.
They didn't have much of a running game. Pacheco was hurt most of the year. When he came back, he wasn't really himself.
Yep.
They were not, and their offensive line isn't any better at run blocking than it is at pass blocking.
They're not. And their run game essentially is off of the RPO. It's Mahomes making a determination based on the looks that the defense gives, and us as a defense we're going to give the look of, hey, go ahead and pass it. And that's what Mahomes did. And they didn't adjust out of that to slow down the pass rush. And when you don't slow down the pass rush with the running game, you're caught with your pants down, with what happened with Mahomes. So absolutely. I mean, there was nothing else they could have done, honestly. I don't see schematically a way for them to have really, really pulled this one out on that.
I just mean get a first down or two. That's all. I just thought maybe they could maybe have a first down or two.
Right. I can't imagine how they got through the AFC playoffs with that offensive line, with Tooney at left tackle, and that Caliendo guy. I don't get it. I don't understand.
Well, the Texans almost pulled it off, but they couldn't capitalize on offense. I think that's the thing. The Texans almost made them pay for it. And the thing is that the Chiefs, and we've mentioned this. I talked about it in Film Don't Lie extensively. The Chiefs, the way they are is they matriculate. They're a methodical offense that wants to move the ball down the field little by little with a decent run game, and then just execute on third downs. That's how they've been successful. But when your strength is going up against a defense whose strength is exactly that, it's a matter of, okay, now who's going to execute more? And as you can see, it came down to the fact that the Eagles just had more of the Joes on that side of the ball. When you are getting beat up on the line in the trenches, and then on the back end, all our guys are covering for the most part, all our guys are covering everyone on the in coverage. There's nothing you can really do to have success on outside the ball, outside of the offense, the Eagles' offense making maybe a mistake. Like the Eagles just executed, and what they did all year. The strength of the defense was, okay, we're going to force offenses. And this is the brilliance of the Fangio defense. And this is what I was talking about with, I never agreed with fans getting so upset about the Fangio defense of, you don't give up big plays. You always play too high. The incarnation of what Fangio does with this system is what we saw. You prevent explosives from playing too high, and you force the offenses to march down the field methodically, and you make them do so, because when you do so, the offense is prone to making more mistakes, and it's a lot tougher. There's not a lot of offenses built to be able to do that outside of the Eagles themselves. So that's why, this was a strength on strength matchup, Eagles defense versus Chiefs offense, and the strength of the Eagles was just that much better. It was that much better. It was insane. It was insane. But I want to answer the poll question to get more, and then get more into the chat. But for me, I'll sum it up this way. Super Bowl 52 was I describe it as magical, right? You had a confluence of the right players, the right coaches at the right time, the right circumstances happening, which led to the victory of Super Bowl 52. And that was the first one. And it felt like it happened when we least expected it. It was nothing can replace that. But this was different. This was, I'd say, probably you could maybe call this was destiny, because all the storylines, you can go the list of starting with Saquon Barkley and how he was ran out of New York, Jalen Hurts and how all the noise surrounding him of whether he's a good passer, Nick Sirianni and whether he's a good coach or just a CEO head coach who does nothing, Mekhi Becton who had his issues with New York, CJ Gardner-Johnson who left for Detroit and then came back. I can go on and on, guys. It will take an hour to go on the list of storylines from all these players. I have never rooted for a group of players harder and wanted this more for a group of players more than this team, because you see these teams and even guys like I see in the chat, guys who are probably leaving, Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, Brandon Graham is going to retire. Darius Slay, he probably is. This might be his last game too. All of them being in their final year with the Eagles, to be able to end it like this means so damn much. So I've never rooted for a group of Eagles players and coaches more than I rooted for this group. I fell in love with this group, and that's what this means to me. So I mean, I guess I'll disagree to the poll. I can't say it means more, but they're just different. It's just it means differently to each person, but that's what it meant to me. So that's what I felt like. So I want to go around again, and I want to see, what do you guys, if there was one moment in the Super Bowl that you want to highlight as your pivotal moment, whether it be what you thought was a turning point, or the moment that you finally felt like it set in that we were going to win, give me one moment. So Les, start with you. Give me one moment that stood out.
Well, the most obvious one is the DeJean pick six. I mean, it took it from a 10-0 game where, okay, you're up 10 in the last Super Bowl against Kansas City, to suddenly you're up 17 and time is running low in the second quarter. And of course, they were able to pile in another touchdown before halftime. But the DeJean thing really I think Kansas City hit the skids right there. I think that was the moment where where the game really got away from them. You don't see a whole lot of seven. I know there was the 28-3 with the Patriots in the Super Bowl, but there have been a lot of Super Bowls where a 17-point gap was bridged. I guess I have to take that. There's some really interesting other moments you could point to, but that's got to be number one for me.
Yeah, PY, what do you think?
It's got to be the Devontae Smith touchdown in the end zone. Like that just clinched it for me, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is happening. Like we're killing these guys. It's over. There's no comeback. Not to mention the fact that he was the first Alabama position player to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Huh. Okay.
That's interesting. So I didn't know that.
Did not know that.
Also, the fifth guy to win a Heisman, a national championship, and a Super Bowl.
That's my son.
Yep. Briggs, what about you?
I really thoroughly enjoyed when Milton Williams nearly ripped Patrick Mahomes' shoulder out of its socket, and Jalen Carter just clubbed him right in the face, and the refs were just like, you know what, you're done. This is it. It's over. And I believe that play resulted in a fumble that was recovered by the Eagles as well. I think they got a field goal out of it.
Yep.
But that was just kind of like the cherry on top.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you didn't get hit all season. You got protected by the refs all season. It's funny because the Eagles didn't talk about the refs at all this week.
Nope.
In the media stuff. The Chiefs talked about them a lot. DeAndre Hopkins talked about him a lot. Travis Kelce talked about him a lot. Patty Mahomes talked about him a lot. So they knew the narrative around their team and why they maybe were here. Not to say they weren't good, but I don't know. Something was just off from them from the start. I don't know what it was. They spent the whole 2 weeks trying to stop Saquon. And cool, you did. What do you have, 57 yards, I think?
Yep.
Something like that.
That's actually what I wrote about today for PHLY, if I can cross-promote.
Yeah.
It was fascinating to me on the broadcast. You all watched the broadcast, right? The Burkhardt Brady. So were you as frustrated as I was that they kept – they're doing a wonderful job of shutting down Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
And they would never say – but the relevant point there was that it doesn't matter one bit. They're still getting killed. And they never said that. It was like they were trying to be even-handed and point up things that the Chiefs were doing well and pat them on the head, boy, they're doing such a great job of stopping Saquon Barkley. And to me, it was just a further illustration of how completely outclassed you are, that you can achieve your main objective and still
because everybody around the nation, Les, and why they were pounding this home, in my opinion, was as long as Saquon didn't bust one or bust a couple, the Chiefs were going to somehow make a game of it.
Right.
And they didn't.
And they forget that we have two all-pro caliber wide receivers on the outside when he's healthy, an all-pro caliber tight end. You have an all-pro caliber across the board offensive line, and you have an all-pro caliber quarterback. So I don't understand where people think we can't spin it around the yard, because we've done it. We've shown the ability to do it, but we don't have to. And you can win by running the football. Why not help your defense?
Right.
Because that also helps your defense keep them off the field. Right.
You also can't.
They're right on the field. So
you can't focus on Barkley to the exclusion of being aware of Hurts taking off
for 72 yards.
Hurts taking off killed them in the second half. If they had any chance of coming back, those Hurts scrambles up the middle, he hasn't been able to do it that freely all year. He's made some nice runs, but to just have the whole field open up for him like that was like 2022. They did shut down Saquon Barkley. They were unsuccessful in doing much of anything else.
Well, it's amazing because Jalen did exactly what I thought he was going to have to do in this game. And I thought he was going to have a total combined yards around 270 to 300 in that range with about 3 touchdowns. That's where I had him at, because I knew what they were going to try to do, because they felt like if we stop Saquon, we're going to win the game. And they left it all out to try to stop him, and sort of big time disrespected that they can't beat you other ways. And they can't beat you by throwing the football. And he proved it. And like you said, the legs, I don't know how you don't factor that in, because that's his biggest part of his skill set. And he always, in big drives, will deliver to his legs. He'll always find a way to pick up a first down in a big drive. We talk about in the third quarter right? When you sort of need him to pick up a first down with his legs. He did it a couple different times. So whenever you need a drive, not that we needed one then, but whenever you need one, he always did it. But Les took the best one in my opinion, which is the Gene pick to sort of like, that was the moment I knew. I would say after, I'll just go different. I'm just trying to think different. Like when I really was like, okay, they're not going to do this, right? They're not going to move the football. When we went up, we were up 7-0. We threw the interception down there, and you're like, don't do this, Jalen. You can't turn the football over in this game. And then bang, what do? 3 and out. British defense has done great at it all year long. So then after that, we go up 10-0, right? And you still don't feel like that's you still with that 3 and out there, and then the 3 and out in the second half, or they might have drove a little bit, but we got them off the field. Right, their first drive in the second half. That first drive
never
in the second
happens
half, because they kept, like Les said, they kept talking about, oh, that's Kansas City. They're definitely going to come back in this game. It could have been 42-0 at halftime, and they were still trying to find ways for them to come back. And I think when we got off the field there, and they started to shut up, and when they started to shut up a little bit, that's when I was like, okay, So they're the two moments, I guess. I'm just trying to give you a different two, because you guys use great ones.
Yeah, that first series of the second half ended in 2 sacks, by the way. I watched it again today.
Okay.
They did get a first down or two, but the Eagles just shut it right down, and that was pivotal. I mean, Brady spent a lot of time talking about that what that would mean. The Chiefs would have the ball coming out of the half, and if they could get something going on that first series, it would be a ball game, and that really proved that it wasn't going to be a ball game.
And who had the 2 sacks on that drive?
Do
you remember?
It was Sweat, and then after that,
Jordan Davis, maybe?
Was it Jordan? Did he get one?
I don't remember.
I think he did. I think Jordan did get one on that one. Then the more I'm trying to remember it, he did. Okay, yeah,
crazy.
So, so that was that to me was like, dude, we're just that good defensively.
Yeah.
Like this game's over. Like they can't do anything to us.
Yep.
And they worried.
I did
so
think
much
we were
about
going to lose.
I wonder if that's why they didn't. We heard all this stuff about Spagnuolo and the blitzes going into the game. Were there any Spagnuolo blitzes yesterday?
Well, earlier,
they tried.
Chucks, I texted you about that blitz pickup by Saquon.
Yeah.
It was on
the
Dotson.
Yeah.
They brought a linebacker. I think it was that guy Bolton, who's kind of like kind of like a speed guy, like undersized a little bit.
Player. Yeah,
and he came free, and Saquon just lit him up, and Jalen just dropped it in there. And Dotson didn't score, but they got the tush push right after.
Huge play. They had the interception was off of a blitz. The one offsides before that interception, a couple days before that, was on a blitz. So like that's where things for me were getting a little hairy. I'm like, okay, like we're in that plus 30 area, and we've had these issues where we're around that area in the past few games, and then we give up sacks and we push ourselves out of field goal range. And like I started to get worried because that's when Spags was bringing the blitzes, and we weren't dealing with them well those couple of plays. And I'm like, okay, like this is, you gotta shore this up. But after that, the offense really like took care of it. Like they were I don't want to say that like again the most ideal hot routes ever, but there were answers. I know on one blitz, they had got it on the out route, so that was a really good thing. And then they didn't connect, but they tried to AJ down the sideline on the other one. So that didn't connect. But I mean,
the one where AJ didn't cut off the route like he was.
Yeah, there was a miscommunication.
Yeah.
So like it was, they were better prepared after that sequence, after that drive. So the blitzing did come from Spags, but it wasn't nearly as successful as he wanted. And I'm surprised he threw so many man blitzes, because that's exactly what you don't want to do, because that's exactly the type of blitzes that Jalen Hurts has been money on, is against man coverage. So he definitely took advantage. But for me, I think I'd have to, for my one moment out of this game, I'd have to agree with Brinks. I had posted, because my wife was recording. My wife always records. She's like the social media person for like the family. So she's always recording. And the household, yeah. So she got video of me, and like after the Milton Williams strip sack, that's when it hit me. That's when I was like, holy crap, we're gonna win this. And like, I think it's kind of ironic because the strip sack moment for me, this was the final moment, whereas back in 52 it was Brandon Graham's strip sack when I was like, oh my god, we can win this, right?
Yeah.
So it's not an Eagles Super Bowl win without a strip sack of some sort, but it was that play, because that's to me, people will look at the Devontae Smith touchdown as a nail in the coffin, and I totally get it, I get that, but it was that strip sack and the fumble recovery. I'm like, okay, they can't come back with it.
You know what I know?
Did you see the watch party in Kansas City after that teardrop?
Oh yeah, I did.
Did you see that? Did you see that on TikTok or whatever?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
They're just
I'm gonna change mine.
You're gonna change yours.
Yeah, I knew in August. Like for the first time in my life, I knew in August that this team, if healthy, was this good. Like that they had the makings to be this good.
I did not. I did not see Zach Bond in August. I mean,
I didn't care about Bond because I thought that my thing is I thought actually Devin White was going to play over him, right? Because of his track record. So if I'm looking at those two, I was looking more at him. But I'm joking about like August, right? But get after when week 10, right? Who'd you think was better? Like you guys, we watch enough football. Week 12, who'd you think was better?
Yeah.
Week 14, who'd you really think was better? When you knew Jalen was really healthy and everything was good, right? Who'd you think was better? Right? I said to go to sleep for 2 weeks. You can wake up Monday and you're going to be Super Bowl champions because we are that much better than the Kansas City Chiefs. That, like, you came over, Chucks, you came over.
Yeah.
And everybody was asking me that day, how do you feel? I said, I feel great. Like, you're not nervous? I'm like, no, for the first time in my life, I'm not nervous. Like, I just knew. And I'm not special. It's the first time ever I knew. Right? It's not like, oh, Tom, look at Nostradamus. No, it wasn't like that at all. It's just, I just felt that confident about this group. Like, they're so talented, and people talked about them like not being talented. And then when I saw all the guys shift on Saturday, they all shifted their picks because they're like, they all said, we can't not, if we don't pick Mahomes, we're going to look like idiots Monday or Sunday night, right? That's what they were saying all week long. And then finally, they all came to the realization that we all watched through the 17 games is that the Philadelphia Eagles are that good top to bottom. And schemes and all that stuff can go out the window when you beat people up front. If you beat people up front, you have the greatest schemes in the country. You can be the smartest guy, and your team will look like they stink. And that's what happened. And I love it. I love saying that to us. And where does this defense go down? In the all-time greats, because it should. It should absolutely go down as an all-time great. And that's Philly. We talked about, we loved all the 90s defense. I did too. They're the guys I grew up watching, right? Our 2000 defense were awesome. We had some great defenses throughout our history. This one, like quietly, because maybe we didn't expect it, right? It goes down as, where do they rank? And where do they rank all time? Somewhere.
Yeah,
that was the best game the edge rush had all season yesterday.
Oh yeah, it was. We expect this in 2022, but we played in Wet and Wild, or we're at Maurice Pier down in Wildwood instead of on a football field. We expect this in 2022. But
goddamn slip and slide.
Yeah, slip and slide. But now our front was really good. Obviously, they dominated, but we didn't expect them to be. We didn't have to bring anybody else. No, like we didn't have to bring like, hey, just run. Hey, Orion, just run.
Yeah, how many monsters you have to only send 4?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, and how good you have to cover because they're trying to get the ball out quick. Like that's what they want to do. That's what Pat was trying to do, and nobody was open.
No one was open. We were crashing.
Because Quinyon Mitchell's a stud. Cooper's a stud. Slay, I've taken my shots at him. I apologize, but you're because when you don't want to tackle, I get on him. But he won the tackle yesterday, and he's been great, and he deserves it. He deserves
even Avonte Maddox, who's at the tail end of his use.
Even he made a play.
He came in cold for DeJean. 4th down.
God bless him.
It's crazy. The one guy on the bench that had been goated and in the negative way for whenever he got on the field, negative stuff happens. he came in and he just made a 4th down stop. Like that was when he's doing that. Like that's when you know, like it was just
that 2018 draft class, baby.
Yep, absolutely. Marsha does ask this, like, who's gonna give us that Jason Kelce level speech on Friday?
Oh, it's Dickerson all day.
Landon. It's Landon. Absolutely. I'll run through a wall for his speeches.
Overalls and all.
Yeah, he's good at those speeches.
I don't know. BG might have a moment Friday.
Yeah, but BG is kind of. I don't want to take a shot at him. I mean, he's a great player, but he's kind of like he's kind of like happy-go-lucky, like kind of corny. Landon Dickerson, he's got an edge to him.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
Landon Dickerson. I love his pregame speeches. Like, I want to go suit up again. My body can't take it, but I would love to just like, what do you need me to do, Landon? I'll run through anything here for you. Right? You got one play out of me. Right? I'll run through somebody. Maybe it'd be him, and he's a great player too.
Yep, he's a good one. Les, I know that you were down there for a few days after you were on Film Don't Lie with us on Tuesday night. You were down there a few more days. Anything else leading up to the game that really stood out to you? That really I don't know how to phrase it, but like anything leading up to that someone might have said that you felt really came to fruition during the Super Bowl.
Let's see. Let me think about that. I talked to Jamal Singleton a lot about Barkley, but Barkley didn't end up being the key to the game.
Yeah.
Mostly other reporters and analysts were talking the things that I was saying earlier about how, the Eagles really have the edge. The players weren't really giving you anything that you could say, boy, later you'd think, boy, that was really, really on target. They were mostly, talking up the other team and how happy they were to be there and all that good stuff. I think the Eagles certainly had an air about them all week that was very they were really intense and really focused, and they didn't get chafe at the media demands and the attention that was on them at all. That was something I really noticed. Of course, there was the big illness scare toward the end of the week that got a lot of
attention.
And I wasn't. People were like on Thursday, like, oh, this could be a big factor in the game. I'm sorry, man. Thursday to Sunday with the doctors that the NFL teams have, they can give those guys stuff that, you don't
the over-counter. This isn't the over-counter
Tony Romo special, and they're all good to go.
Yeah,
that's what I said to everybody.
There was no way on Thursday that I was worried about people being sick, but
cortisone shots for everybody.
Yeah, everybody. I got to know people I hadn't known. I didn't know Jamal Singleton, for example. This is a great story if you have a minute. This is totally off topic. So I introduced myself to Jamal Singleton, because I left the beat on a day-to-day basis right as he was coming in. So he says, Les Bowen, that game in Denver 3.5 years ago, you tweeted that I left Kenny Gainwell to block a defensive lineman. Let me tell you, actually what happened there was Jordan Howard went to the wrong side, and he had this whole elaborate – so – the Eagles game in Denver in 2021, I wasn't even covering the team at that point. In fact, I did a story for the Inquirer about, I went to the game with my two sons for the first time. I'd never been to an Eagles game with my sons because I was always covering them. And one of my sons lives in Denver right near the stadium. So we all went to the game. And during this game, apparently, I tweeted that the Eagles left Kenny Gainwell to fend off a defensive lineman. And 3.5 years later,
he
remembers this very vividly.
A tweet. It wasn't even a report. It was a tweet.
I just, it threw me off my interview for like 5 minutes. I was like, wait a minute, what? What do we?
I love when the players and the coaches, they say they don't look at it or they don't read it or they don't listen to us and the dial. Like, yeah, you do.
They do.
Yeah,
you do.
Well, I tried to do a thing with Howie. I talked to him on that ridiculous opening night spectacle they have. I said, like, if you become beloved here, are you going to be able to stand it? And he wouldn't engage in that at all.
Oh my God!
The truth is, no, he can't stand it. He needs to be he's like a player. He needs to feel disrespected in order to function. And this is going to be really tough for him because people, are going to be praising him to the heavens, and it's he's not going to get the stuff that he feeds on.
Yeah, until the Falcons get Myles Garrett, and then everyone will freak out. Like,
that's a good point.
Get him. Something will happen.
We'll get on him. We'll find something. I mean,
he's counting on that.
Yeah, and we're not. Like, I hope to never get on him again, but he'll have a mistake. They all do, and he'll rebound because nobody rebounds better than. I mean, he's the Dennis Rodman of like rebounding and NFL GMs. He just rebounds better than anybody. Like, if he goes through a struggle and there's a Jalen Reagor pick, or the list goes on, right? Of things he's messed up.
I mean, their number one free agent signing wasn't even active last night.
I was going to bring that up, Briggs.
Unbelievable, and it gets not talked about because look at all the hits. Look at all the. I mean, look at we told him what to do, and we're not the smartest guys in the room, but we said you got to go get team captains from winners. That's how you build cultures and great players. Now you got to hit on those guys, right? And you guys, we say, stay away from some of the smaller schools for a little bit, Howie. And he brought himself back. I mean, even look at a guy like Landon Dickerson, team captain. Devontae Smith, team captain. Jalen Hurts, team captain. The list goes on here. The list goes on.
I've
Jalen
read
Carter,
the draft.
Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, Nolan Smith, all team captains at winning programs that were all about business. Those programs are business. You're playing in the NFL early. Doesn't mean Toledo doesn't work, as we see with Q. So it's not just one way, right? But sometimes you have to go back to that way. Just to not feel like you won't be the smartest guy in the room, right? You don't have to be. And a lot of GMs get themselves in trouble because they want to hit the guy that nobody thinks they don't know enough about this guy. I'm going to get him.
Or they fall in love with certain types of traits.
Yeah.
Traits don't, I remember when the Eagles drafted Derek Barnett, there was all this stuff about he could bend his ankles so it gets so low going around the edge. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm not a scout, but he's 21 years old. 2 years and a couple injuries from now, is he going to be able to bend his damn ankle? Is that why you draft a guy in the first round?
Well, Les, I do tryouts, right, for teams and pick players, and I know people do it. They do it with data, right? I've used no data in a decade plus of judging talent, right? And you don't just judge it by what it always looks like in shorts and a t-shirt either. And it doesn't. Your metrics don't always equal success. Like, you could throw 92. And you have no idea where it's going. And I'm talking about like a 17 and under kid, right? You could be throwing 90 and no idea where it's going. Or you could be throwing 83. And you could throw, how about this? You throw your fastball wherever you want to put it. You throw your curveball for strikes, right? You have another off speed, but your changeup's money, right? Then you're a complete pitcher. And sometimes the metrics don't always dictate and talk about Jalen. Like, it doesn't necessarily matter what you look like in shorts and a t-shirt. You don't have to have the arm or Herbert or be able to throw through Buffalo wind like Josh Allen. And be able to run people over like Josh Allen, or be Lamar Speed, right? You don't have to. You can be just a really good player who knows what it takes to win, and that's it with Jalen Hurts. It doesn't have to be anything more. I've been yelling this for weeks and a year plus, if not longer. That it doesn't matter. It's not always what it looks like. When you need drives, he delivers on drives. How many years have we watched bad quarterback play here, where guys don't give you those drives? Yeah. Goodness gracious. And I'm glad he gets his so-called flowers and Nick as well, because they both deserve it. And I was hard on Nick, and I've met Nick numerous times in the baseball world. And he listens. Brinks, to your point. He knows when people are coming after him, and he feeds off of it too, as you should as a competitor. That's what great competitors do. But he deserves his flowers too, because his bloomed bigger than we could all ever imagine. And they really did. And it's credit to him, because the presser doesn't have to be the greatest presser of all time. It's about what you do on Sundays or Thursdays or Mondays or Saturdays, whenever the heck they want to play games, or a Friday in Brazil, whenever you want to play. He's got his football team ready, and I can't believe we're Super Bowl champs. It's crazy.
That's crazy. It is crazy.
Sorry.
So one more question as we go around before we let Les go. And then Tom, I know you said you're going to go in a bit too. Jesse Davis asked this, okay, and we don't have to get into a few. We'll get into talks about this, I'm sure, in the offseason and other discussions. But just real quick to answer, is Hurts now officially the greatest QB in franchise history? What do you think?
Yes. How is he not?
Yes. I'm just asking the question.
I love 5. Listen to me. I love 5. Guys, Andy and 5 were I called Andy dad, and 5 was like a brother to me because we were like around. I'm 42, so we were close, right? So it was like my son. It was like my brother growing up. All right, I love those 2. These 2 are better.
Throw them in the trash.
These 2 are better, and I know longevity matters and other things matter. But you ask me right now, who's better than Hurts?
I think he will be. I don't know that he quite is.
Love
yet.
Randall,
but Donovan bought me a drink last week, so I'm not going to sit.
That's a little dangerous.
I love 5. I've always loved 5.
Watch out for the text messages, Les.
I'm a big 5 guy. I'm a big 5 guy.
That was part of his problem.
Yeah, but this guy cut the nets down.
I posted that photo on social media, and some guy said, "Who drove home?" I just think Jalen's definitely going to get there. I'd like to see, in terms of like the franchise rankings of yards and touchdowns and all the things like that. I'd like to see a few more years of this before. But yeah, he's going to be the best quarterback in franchise history. Yes.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's always that conversation of, okay, are you talking about best? Or are you talking about greatest? Right. I think right now we could say Hurts is the best because of what he is, and if I'm pretty sure all of us, if we were to have to pick out of any QB in franchise history who we would trust to win a Super Bowl, it would be Jalen. I'm pretty sure I speak for all of us there. Now it gets to, do you classify greatest as having all the records and having that legacy and all that? So that's where it gets a little bit muddy. But
or you give Randall this team, like I don't know what they do.
Yeah. Randall's touched the biggest, and it was a little bit before my time, so I can't speak magnitudes about how Randall was, but whenever I look up stuff and I speak to people that are older than me, I know that Randall was the it guy. He was the Lamar Jackson and the guys before we all came. So it's always the big what if he had a better team and everything like that. So I absolutely want to give Randall his flowers because he came at the wrong time.
And for people who are even older than me, and there's still a few alive out there, the Eagles traded away Sonny Jurgensen, who's in the Hall of Fame with room to spare. One of the great quarterbacks of the 60s. But it hurts. Yeah. He'll be there. Yeah.
Yep.
There's a lot of good ones. We just haven't won. So it's and I think winning always puts you on a pedestal, as it should. And he's been to 2 in 3 years. So, he's done a lot of winning.
Jaws wasn't in that realm. He got there once.
Was he the quarterback in 80? Who was the quarterback in 80?
Jaws. Yeah.
Jaws started out with the Rams and was the Polish Rifle when he was with the Rams, which I didn't think was a great nickname, but then they made it Jaws, and that was something you could kind of get your thoughts around a little better. And
it's stuck with him ever since. It's just stuck with him ever since.
The Jalen's career ended today. He could arguably what he did yesterday, what he was able to accomplish yesterday. He could go down as the best quarterback in franchise history if his career ended tomorrow, and it's not going to. So Does he win? Does he win another one?
Yeah, I think he does. Yeah,
I do too. I do
They
too.
are the
It's hard to-
favorites. They are
Well,
the
they should be.
favorites.
Yeah, and
Should be.
it's hard to. I know that like we have a lot of key players that are probably going to be at the door, like Sweat. Who knows about Slay? Milton Williams is probably gone. Becton's gone, but
A lot of guys back.
a lot of our core
Yeah.
pieces are going to be back because they're core pieces that were drafted. You know, like there's been such a good. This is why when we said years ago, Tom, I remember when I came on with A2D and we were on that period where Howie was horrible at drafting. We hit on the fact that like you've got to be better at drafting for moments like this where you have to have that rotation of core talent that's in there. You know what I mean? So
you can't afford to pay your top players if you don't have a base of people on rookie contracts who are good players.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's the only way you create a dynasty. It's the only possible chance you have of creating one.
I read the drafts last week or a couple weeks ago, and it's just ridiculous. Like I have it right here: 2020, Jalen Hurts. Nothing really else going. And then you go 21, and 21 is Devontae, Landon Dickerson, Milton Williams, Kenny Gainwell.
Game
then
over.
Then you go 22. 22, this is a perfect draft. Jordan Davis, Cam Jurgens, Nakobe Dean, and Grant Calcaterra. That's
Good draft. Yeah.
all hits.
Yeah.
Then you go Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Tyler Steen, Sidney Brown, Keely Ringo.
Pretty good draft.
And then Moro Ojama, by the way, in the 7th round. Yeah. He's probably going to be a key guy next year.
Yep.
If those guys get their money that earned it last night. Then last year, Mitchell, DeJean, Jalix Hunt, Will Shipley, Trotter Jr., and that's really it.
Yeah. Yeah, I totaled up at the start of the playoffs. I think 22 out of the last 30 Eagles draft picks were playing decent roles on the team.
Yeah.
Isn't that insane? Now, it's a little bit to this, Les. It's a little bit to Doug's staff. We heard things back there where Doug's staff wasn't really good at developing talent either. Is this also credit to Nick's staff?
Oh, God, yeah.
The right guys here, too.
I think Jeremiah Washburn, who coaches those defensive ends, I think he's got to be an incredible position coach. I think, the secondary guys have to be pretty good to get the rookies up to speed. I mean, they're great players, but to be able to play like they're playing, I think there's got to be good coaching there. I think the linebackers coach had better be pretty good, given that Bond hadn't played inside. I think it's a good staff. I hope they can keep, obviously they're not keeping Kellen Moore, but I hope they can keep everybody else as time goes by here.
So
what happened with Andy.
Andy
had all these future head coaches on his original staff, and one by one they all flew away, and he did a great job of replacing them.
No, it's hard. Doug, same thing, right? Lost them and then couldn't replace them. And now we talk about Kellen. We talk about Kellen. Did you guys hear before we bring it up, too, Chucks? But did you guys hear last night where Nick said, "Hey, Kellen, you come back for another one"? Is there any chance he comes back for another one?
I just don't. I would love it, but I don't think so. I mean, Lurie also said last night, no, he's going to be the Saints coach. I think he's been hiring his staff already. That would be kind of awkward if you'd offered people jobs and then you.
I mean, you got to take it. I understand.
You can't not take a head coach.
It's not a great. I mean, people are right though. It's not a great job.
It's
probably terrible job.
Yeah,
terrible job right now.
Were any of those jobs that were open this year good though?
And I'm not sure, Kellen, if what we see in the press conferences, and I know, Nick's kind of goofy in press conferences, but Kellen is boring in press conferences. And I just wonder if he's really a head coach kind of guy, what his demeanor is really like, away from the cameras. It's got to be a lot more animated than it is when we see him, because we don't see anything that would really excite you, frankly.
But at the same time, it is the Saints. It's not like they have a track record of hiring really like good coaches. I think they
Peyton, was the only.
They see the offensive coordinator of a Super Bowl team, and they're like,
Well, they're morons. With all due respect, they're morons because they didn't watch like this is the look at everything he has at his disposal as an offensive coordinator. Like if you can't make this offense work, you probably shouldn't be ever allowed. You should get banned from the NFL. Like you should be like this guy is no longer allowed to coach in the NFL. He is restricted to just college ball. Like, come on, this offense is that good. I'm not saying you got to score 40 a night, but you get what I'm saying. It's like you should have success.
There's a level. There's a bar you need to clear, and like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like yeah. I wanted to ask you to piggyback off of the assistant thing, Les, because that is a good question by Tom. But since you did speak to Jamal Singleton, and I've always wondered this. I'm surprised I didn't ask you this before, because when we've seen Miles develop when he was drafted in 2019, and he did get better every single year. When Swift was here with us, he even got better from where he was in Detroit to with us. He improved as a runner. And obviously we have Saquon and then what Gain was able to do as a complimentary guy. And now with Shipley, as the rookie, like the way we've developed running backs has been really good. And Singleton's done a great job. But I know that, Deuce here was for so long was such a veered running backs coach, and it was just his time he needed to move on and get other opportunities. From what you've seen personally, like how has that transition, like what has that transition from Deuce to Jamal Singleton been like for that team, and what has Jamal Singleton brought to the running back room that maybe we're not seeing from that side?
Yeah, I'm not sure I know, but with Deuce, the one thing you always knew was that if the Eagles put a running back out there on the field, he could pick up the blitz. And if he couldn't, he wasn't going to play. Yeah. I don't know that Deuce developed, Shady McCoy. I mean, he had good relationships with these guys, and they performed very, very well. LeGarrette Blount was pretty much a finished product when he got here. Jay Ajayi certainly as well. With Singleton, he's an interesting guy. He went to the Air Force Academy. His dad was career Air Force sergeant. He wanted to be a jet pilot and was accepted into that program. He was a running back at Air Force, middling kind of service academy running back. Got accepted into the jet program and then got a chance to coach at a prep school, a part-time, while he was in this program, and decided to drop the jet pilot program, which was hard to get into, and become a coach. And he served out his service commitment at the Air Force Academy, as an assistant coach. I would say he's a very personable guy, very detail-oriented. I talked to him about my angle was, Defense's art instructor, Einstein's physics tutor, Saquon Barkley's running backs coach. What do you actually do for a living? But, and he went right along with it. He said that when he first came to the NFL, that was exactly how he felt because he hadn't been a great running back. And his first running back happened to be Frank Gore in Indianapolis. And they talked a lot, and Gore told him, never assume that I know something just because I've done a lot of stuff. There might be something. And sure enough, Jamal was telling me about something he told Frank Gore, and Gore said, I've never heard that. I didn't know that. And 2 years later, Gore, who played forever, was in Buffalo, and Singleton gets a phone call from him. Hey, my game yesterday, be sure you watch in the third quarter. I used that thing you told me. Yeah. So I guess he's just he's a guy that he's an easygoing but meticulous guy, I would say, who, knows the details and the finer points of the position, I guess. That's how I would say it. And he has a very good memory for tweets.
So, Les, do you get the vibe like that they're going to bring in an outside hire for the offensive coordinator?
Everybody says it's going to be Kevin Patullo. Now, I don't know anything about Kevin Patullo, but all the day-to-day beat reporters no, it's going to be Kevin Patullo. They're not going to talk to a lot of people were talking about Frank Reich or this or that, but everybody seems to think it's in the bag for Kevin Patullo. I don't know.
Love that.
Yeah. I don't know enough about Kevin Patullo to have
Yeah,
an opinion.
I don't know. I'd rather give him a shot than bring back Reich. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I'll say that. So, Les, thank you again. You coming on with us is always a delight, as I always say.
Great pleasure, especially this week. Thank you,
Yes,
guys.
Oh, yeah.
absolutely. Are you by any chance? I gotta ask. Are you by any chance going to the parade?
I think I probably am. My son, who lives in North Carolina, is coming up. He was here over the weekend. He's coming back this week.
Nice.
And I think we'll probably go to the parade. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, good. Yeah, hopefully I'll maybe in amongst the millions of people that are going to be there, I'll run into you. But if not,
Yeah.
Enjoy and stay safe. And I will talk to you
too.
soon.
Yes, guys.
All right,
Take care. Thanks again.
See you, Les.
Bye, Les.
Les with Bone on the Birds. Always a delight, as I always say. Anything else from this game you guys want to talk about? You know, we still have some time left, and there's not a lot that I'm also trying to save some insight in terms of X's and O's for tomorrow, my podcast tomorrow. But let me know, like, what do you guys think? What do you guys want to talk about in this game? There's so much.
I don't think we've talked about Nick Sirianni enough tonight.
He outcoached the hell out of Reed.
He did. But I mean, even in 22, when they went to the Super Bowl, I thought he was immature and a little bit of a, come on, man, like let's focus a little bit, be a little more serious. I thought last year during the collapse, he was extremely immature. And I thought at the beginning of this season, I thought he was extremely immature. But somewhere along the way, this guy like grew up. Whether he was jawing at the fans at the Browns game and people got a hold of him and said, yo, like, you got to be the CEO head coach. This is not what a CEO head coach does. You got to be better than this. Whatever happened, he flipped the switch and he became like a 16-year-old, went from like a 16-year-old temperamental teenager to like a 30-year-old, like well put together adult, pretty much overnight. And I don't think it's a coincidence that that's when they started winning games at a unbelievable clip. I mean, this defense that we sung praises to the whole night about because they just absolutely bitch slapped the Kansas City Chiefs. Like their only loss since the bye was a 30-minute admiration at FedEx Field against the Commanders where they just forgot how to play. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
If they play a little bit better.
And a CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Yeah, he got kicked out. And
then they couldn't play defense. Their secondary was
they just fell apart. So they're 30 minutes. I still think they should have done a little better, even though he got kicked out. I mean,
no, I was using one example how good
I mean,
they've been.
Really, that's it. I know a lot of people want to bring up the drop, Devontae, Barkley dropped it against Atlanta, but I mean, if it wasn't for those 30 minutes of defensive football against the Commanders, like this team's running off 17 straight.
Yep.
Which is crazy. That's an undefeated season in years past. Now they play a million games, and they're probably going to play more.
Yeah. No, but Sirianni, and Tom talked about it too. He deserves his flowers. And like, I know there are still Eagles fans out there, some who might be listening, who still refused to give Sirianni his credit, saying, he just gets in the way. He just gets in the way. He doesn't do anything.
He wins. That's all he does, and that's all I care about.
I think
you people don't do anything. You know what I mean? Like you people don't do anything. Probably your job. Like this guy's running. You know what goes into this? Like, does anybody have a clue? Has ever coached anything in their life? Like, right? I coach on a daily basis, and teams and etc. And when you're talking about teams, you gotta get players to buy in to a message, to playing with each other, to being great teammates. Like, you're the leader of men, right? And now you're leader of grown ass men, and you're gonna tell me like you're just he just stays out of the way, and it doesn't matter. Come on, players respect them, and when you win, you can't not respect now.
Yep.
So right? Tom, do you coach third?
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
I was gonna say if he didn't coach third, then you're not even coaching third. He probably doesn't do anything. Like
I coach third. You know what I mean? Like now, would I call plays though? Like would I coach third at the big league level? No, right? Like at the big league level, I want to coach third. I'd be in the dugout, right? Like every other big league manager. But at those levels, you coach third. But the point is like you're still managing. You're managing kids, players, grown men, whatever. You got to give them respect.
Yeah.
Right. You got to give them respect one way or the other, and you got to get them to buy into a message. And they obviously bought into the message the entire coaching staff. And I don't think losing Kellen Moore is a big deal because I think the guy we're going to hire is going to be just as good. And he's been with us since 2021. So, you know what I mean? He's been on the staff.
Yeah.
So the guy who knows Jalen, that matters. I think losing Vic would be the big one, and we're not losing Vic because he's not going to be head coach anywhere.
He's going to
so
stay.
He's here.
I love Vic. I love Vic.
How great is this defense, though? This defense got to go down all time. Like,
it's insane. This is
I love my crazy grandpa.
It's probably
top 10 all time. All time.
Probably, right?
I would think so.
I think it's the best one in Eagles history, and I know there's been great.
Oh yeah. 100%. 100%.
This is better.
I mean, you have some obvious. I mean, you had the '85 Bears. You had the 01 Ravens.
Yeah, I'll give them those.
They're better. The Bucks.
Tampa when they beat the Raiders. There are a lot of Hall of Famers on that Tampa.
When they beat the Raiders. Yeah.
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 I mean, Legion of Boom, or this defense.
This defense. But like, there's a lot of similarities in terms of their philosophy. In that like neither defense runs anything exotic, right? It's just the scheme is what the scheme is, but the thing is they just execute it at such a high level. They're like, this is what we do, but we're just going to outplay you. We're going to out execute you and be better than you. That's what's scary about it.
I think this defense is better than Legion of Boom, but they gotta do it again now.
And then you're going way back on something like
I'll give Legion of Boom. Legion of Boom's got two, right? Legion of Boom's got two.
Do they have two? I thought they had one.
Or one.
No, because they didn't run the ball with.
They didn't run the ball. Right.
Yeah, they didn't run the ball.
They got one. So that being said, right now this defense you could say is better, but they got to get back to another one now because they got back
eerily similar.
They at least they got to another one, right? So we got to get to another one then too.
Yep.
In fairness, so we'll give them that.
A lot of similarities between this team and that team. The one that won.
Yeah, you're right. But this defense is better than that one, in my opinion. I think it's deeper. And I think there's like deeper across the board of 11 players, not deeper.
Exactly. I think with the Legion of Boom, and no disrespect to they had some studs, obviously, on the front seven, but like what was the core of that defense? The core was three players. It was Richard Sherman, it was Cam Chancellor, and it was Earl Thomas. Those are the three that made that defense, right? And then once one of them started to fall off a little bit, that's when the kind of
But they were awesome. They were
awesome. They're awesome.
And they would hit the shit out of you.
They beat Manning by $1 million in the.
Yeah,
they beat him up. They beat him up.
Yep.
And they're awesome. So I mean, and we beat them up. So I don't know. I'm not going to go up against the great ones. I'll say, hey, we're 10. I'll like to be the 10th best of all time. You know what I mean? You want to throw it there. I'll just say 10.
Like that. We're in that conversation. We're in the conversation.
I'll give all these other ones because they're better in a way.
Yeah, and we'll. I mean, you could. The other argument or topic that's interesting is, was this the most dominating defensive performance in a Super Bowl? Like considering all things, that's where it gets interesting because like we didn't, guys.
Probably the most dominating since the '85 Bears.
The Chiefs' offense didn't cross midfield until what, end of third quarter, early fourth.
Yep,
something like that. That's insane.
Yeah, I think it's probably the most dominating since the '85 Bears because they beat the crap out of the Patriots 46-10. That's a ridiculous stat.
That's crazy. It's crazy. The only
what did the Cowboys do to the Bills in the '90s? That Cowboys defense, like they held the Bills to like, come on, Brinks. Like,
I don't remember.
I hear you.
That was a roll job. That Cowboys defense was awesome. The Cowboys defense was awesome then too in the '90s. Yeah. So. We're going back though. We're going 80s, 90s, 2000s. Obviously,
the Ravens.
That Ravens
Giants, that Super Bowl against the Ravens, they didn't even belong on the field.
Yeah. So that was, I know that's probably the other one I could think, because like I'm just trying to remember from the ones I remember from 2000 on. The only one I can remember that would be in contention would be that Ravens performance. I think that's the only
I would
one.
think this is the most dominating performance overall. Take out the defense. Like this is the most dominating performance overall since like I feel like that 90s Cowboys Bills game, they smoked them. Right. That was a roll job from the beginning. 85 Bears roll job. I'm trying to think of games I remember. I know there's more. Like that's what I'm trying
The
to think.
Niners kicked the shit out of the Chargers in
Oh,
like
yeah.
94.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
and then,
yeah,
and then we signed
Yeah.
Ricky Wooders after that.
Yeah,
Yep, then we signed Ricky Wooders after that. So that was a roll job. But again, 90s, right? What in the 2000s? There's got to be a roll job in the 2000s.
I mean, the Seahawks and Broncos would be the other one.
Seahawks.
Yeah,
That was 13 though. We had a stretch there in the 2000s where like every year the Super Bowl was like the game of the century.
Yeah.
You had like the Rams and the Titans. You had the Steelers and the Cardinals.
Oh, that was a good one.
You
That
had
was
the
a good one.
Harbaugh Bowl where the lights went out, where
Yep,
it was
that
just
was a
like
good one.
year after year after year.
Of great games. Yeah,
It was
I
just
hear you on that.
fantastic.
Absolutely.
No, you're right. You're right. This might be since 2010 on. This might be the biggest or wherever on. This is the most dominating performance overall in a long time. That's all. That's all.
It's absolutely
Right.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Gentlemen, any other final takeaways over the Super Bowl before we head out of here?
Let's go get two.
Let's go get two. That is right. You guys gonna go to the parade on Friday?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm retired from. I went to the 2017 one.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Nobody likes a quitter.
No, I'm not a quitter. I mean, I'm right with Brink.
I
can't.
I gotta go to work.
I wasn't going to.
I gotta be a grown up.
I hear you.
It's my day off. That's the only reason I'm going.
No, fair. And I'll say this before I get here. I don't need to go because we ain't done yet. Like, and I've been saying that for a minute now before this even got here. Like, I feel like this team isn't going away. So
no,
right,
we're too young.
If I'm going to go to another parade, like I need to like have foresight, like Airbnb, like on the route, like not like
That's
disgusting.
like Wrigleyville.
That's what
Wrigleyville.
Yeah.
Like looking
That's what I did.
Yeah.
For the
Like
first
not
one.
like the disgusting animal I was at the 2017
Oh my
where
God.
I'm walking around with like a
Yes.
handle of Fireball, just handing them out.
I
Just-
walked 100 blocks. You know what I mean? I walked 100 blocks in
for
2017.
that first one, right? I had the foresight. With the moment we won the NFC Championship game, I booked a hotel. It's right near Broad. I forget where exactly where it was, and so I stayed in the city because my friend's apartment was right on Broad Street that night, and that's why we were able. Right when we won, we got right on Broad and partied with everyone on Broad, and then we just went and slept over there, right? So and then I went to the hotel, stayed at the hotel for a few days until the parade. And then just I was at the art museum at 3 a.m. because I was coming from the hotel. So it was it was meticulous planning on my part, so I wouldn't have to deal with the crowds of like traveling in. Yeah. So I hear you on that.
From Rutgers to the museum.
Yeah, I do a Petco.
Tommy, I was like you in 2017. I walked 100 blocks. I like did one high five with like one player on the route.
Right, right, and even this, like even that in 2017, like. Yeah, and if you guys need to go, just go because I'll just keep talking to the people out there too for a little bit. I got another 20 in me, so right. It feels great. I didn't do one last night. I wanted to soak it in. That moment, like I'm always I gotta go do a show after it. I always gotta do a show after it. Like sometimes, like this one, I want to listen. You know what I mean? I want to listen to what everybody's got to say. It's all about us, right? Mm-hmm. You get to a point where it's all about us. I want to hear all about us. I'm not used to hearing all about us all the time, you know, and it should be.
Never.
But what?
Never. It's never about.
No, yeah.
It's never about like.
It just never is. Like us being the best. Like in 2017, like you could, like I said, you can make the argument that like that was lightning, like that's just lightning in the bottle. It wasn't the best team, right? You can say after this year, like this is the best team.
Yes.
And we're not, and like the age, right? Like if we lose, okay, so what if out of those three players, right? or 4 if you want to add in Becton, right? You want to add Becton into that. So Bourne, Milton Williams, Becton, and who else is
Sweat.
free agent?
Sweat.
Okay.
And, yeah.
All right. So 4 guys. You can bring back 2. Who do you bring back?
Bond
and Milton.
Milton.
Really, no love for Mekhi Becton? Or
Because I think
mishear you?
I think that Steen can step in and be good. And
That guy's a monster. I think people forget that Mekhi Becton's like 26 too.
oh no, I understand that, but also he's going to get a payday, and I understand Milton Williams too. But
Well,
I think in the end, I think it's. I don't want to say I'm trying not to oversimplify this, but I do think it will be easier for the Eagles to replace Becton than it is to replace Milton Williams.
Yep.
Oh, why can't you like work out a number? Because he wants to get paid like a tackle. That's going to be the sticking point with Becton.
That's the thing. I don't think he should play tackle with us. I don't think
Lane might not. I mean,
Lane's not retiring.
He can't have much left.
But Becton made it very clear how much he loves being here. So
he did. Yes.
So,
if he takes a discount, if he's willing to take a discount to stay and play
you
guard,
might see that. You might see
100%. Then all for it. But if he wants to capitalize on a big payday, he should 100% go and do that. I think
I can never advocate for someone taking a discount when I would never take a discount.
No, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either. But some guys look at like winning and the money that brings you and bonuses and other things you can structure into your deal. But even bigger than that, they can say, hey, listen, sign a 1-year deal. If Lane retires, we'll pay you as a right tackle the next year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there might even be a chance you get him for like $5-6 million or 8. Sorry, you get him for like 10 mil, right? For a year. And I don't know what the cap looks like right now.
Is it worth tagging? Is it worth tagging any of these guys?
No.
Probably not. Not to pay them top dollar. I wouldn't.
How old's Bourne?
Bourne is
27.
28.
27.
Yeah. He's got to be here. That's definitely one of mine.
No, he's a must. You have.
Well, Milt Williams is a must to me because I think he's a monster.
He's a
monster, and I don't think he's talked about enough. And he plays so well off of Jordan Davis. It's like the perfect combo guard, right? And for my basketball guys, the perfect combo guard, and I need him back. Sweat, I love Josh Sweat, but I can move on from it if I have to.
Yeah, right? It's something to move on from Sweat.
Sometimes I got to make hard decisions, and that's a hard one. Again, unless you're taking a big discount, which I don't think he will.
He should, nor should he.
He made a lot of money last night.
I mean, huge lot of money.
So yeah, I'm right with you guys. I'm just talking it out. Bourne and Milton were probably my 2 picks.
Yeah, I know.
Steen can play right guard, or I'm just going to bring Becton back, or I franchise him. Because I probably would franchise him because I think
how much can guard? Isn't it what the franchise tag is? What the average of the top 10 guys?
Top 5.
Yeah, top 5.
Top 5. How much can guards make? It can't be that devastating to tag that guy.
But I mean, it's not devastating. So like, if I can understand if you do want to do 1 year and he's okay with that. Again, it's all about, and I can see a scenario where if he really wants to stay, and then you tag him, and then I don't know how much of a priority he's going to say because players
I'll tag one if I have to.
Do you tag? But that's someone. But again, are the players on the tag? Do they want to play on the tag? Because Bond already played on a 1-year deal. Becton already played on a 1-year deal. They want security. So
of course, but both of them. I want to say, can you do it again? Right? Because neither one of you. This is the first time you guys doing it, right? Where guys like Sweat and Milton Williams been playing at a high level, right? Mikael Becton did not play at a high level in New York, and he was drafted to play at a high level. Zach One was not drafted to play at a high level. This is his first chance and opportunity to do so, and he played at an all-pro level. So, if there's one who's like earned it more, it's probably Bourne, right? Because Becton had his chance to be the guy and didn't succeed in one place, and got under Stoutland, and it's proven to really revitalize his career. So why would you not just stay there? Because at some point you're going to get paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you're young enough. So Becton makes more sense to take less money, where Bourne, I got to keep him. Makes
You
sense.
have-
So
you
Bourne,
have-
if I got to franchise Bourne, I'll franchise him. Same
You
with
can-
Milton Williams. I'll franchise his ass if I had
You
to.
could.
One or the
I
other.
just with Bond, that's tricky because I think if you can franchise him to kind of like hold over and say, okay, let's get it negotiated to find a number. But I think it gets tricky because like, is he going to play on it? Like, is he going to, or is he not going to hold out? Because that's again, the players want that long term security, and Bond has earned it. So I don't want to play with fire with him and say like, okay, you're go play another year on a 1 year deal, and then him say no, I earned a long term contract, and then then it's
Yeah,
a
I
mess
think
going into camp.
No, of course. There's always that problem, Chucks, for sure. But there's also the other side of it where, you are paying a guy top 5 money in his position because that's how much you want to keep him to work out that kind of deal, right? To say like, hey, we can't do a long-term deal right now, but we can do this, right? This is what we can do, right? So it's like almost like in a way, help us get the next year, and we can work out a long-term deal with you, throughout the year or whatever the case may be. And there's always, what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like Howie already will. I think Howie knows that he's going to sign him to a long term deal. The way he's talked, but I mean, we shall see. It's very tight.
I'm not speaking of just him. I'm speaking of any player.
Oh yeah. Oh okay.
Yeah. Like Bourne. Yeah, Bourne's got to get inked up for long term. And I'm thinking more for like even like a Becton. Like I'll tag you if I have to, or Milton
That
Williams.
would be more understandable.
Even Milton. Like, because I drafted you. You're 25 years old. Like, I got to keep you here. I got to figure out a way to get a long-term deal done with you. But I got to tag you for this year if I had to.
I hear you.
I mean, the Patriots in their run, they always did a fantastic job at bringing in new hungry guys to go with like the core guys. So the Howie will figure it out. Everyone has full faith in Howie. But
look what's back. Look what is back.
Like there's guys that are guaranteed to be here that are like the tippy top of not just their position, but overall players in this league. I mean, Jalen Carter is on a rookie deal. Q and Coop are on rookie deals. Jordan Davis is going to be a rookie deal. Jalen's locked in. Devontae's locked in. AJ's locked in. Dotson's going to be here.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with Goddard and his contract.
I think he's got one more year.
So he'll probably want some money. Like,
he's got to play.
Dickerson's here. Jurgens is here. Lane's here. Malata's here.
Yep.
Like, you got whatever. You got 22 starters. You got
Jordan Davis
16.
is here.
Yeah, you got
Bryce
16.
Huff is here.
Stiffy, number 0. Yeah,
Bryce Huff's here, guys. Yeah, so Bryce Huff's here.
And he's stuck here because
Nakobe is Nakobe going to be healthy to play next year?
I would.
Like a 2-year injury.
Probably not. Yeah.
I mean, he did it.
Injury.
I mean, he did it like January 15th.
Yeah.
So Nakobe 30 plays again.
He ruptured his patella, which is way worse than like an ACL.
I know. Nolan Smith will be here.
He's here. So you got like 17 of 22 starters that are just locked in.
DJ,
the prime of their career that like you can fill in around that.
Yeah.
And they got all these draft picks. I was looking at their draft capital. Like they have all these picks.
Do they? I don't even pay attention to it until it's time. They got 8.
They have, I think, 2
That's
third-rounders.
a lot. Oh my God.
They have 2 third-rounders. So they have 4 picks in the first 2 days.
Yep.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Gentlemen, I have to sign off if you want to stay on the chat. Yeah. Do you want to stay on the chat, Tom? Keep it going, Tom?
I'm good.
You good? Okay. But hey, conversation was amazing. If you, obviously the chat, Tom is on Wednesday nights, so catch him and the rest of the boys at A2D on Wednesday to continue the conversation. Absolutely get going. Remember, Wednesday mornings also will be me and Pete's Film Don't Lie podcast show. That'll be out on release on Wednesday morning for you. And we have football coverage all week. And if you are going to the parade, let me know. I will be there. I will be there, and we'd love to see you if we can, if possible. And it's going to be millions of people, but
I'll be there in spirit.
In spirit. Thank you to our sponsor, Buzzers Bread. Again, make sure you mention A2D Radio for 10% off your in-store purchase. For myself, for the big guy Tom Arnone, for PY, and for Brings, and the rest of us at A2D, we love you. We are Super Bowl champs, people.
Woo!
Have
Go
fun.
Birds.
And we'll
Go
see you
Birds.
on Broad. See you next week. Peace.